You ever just have those series? You ever just have that, whether it's a game or a manga or a light novel or a visual novel or a song, whatever, any form of media that you're like, oh my god, this is gonna be a good one. This is gonna be a good one. This is gonna impact me in some way. I'm gonna buy some merch. I'm gonna change my profile picture to one of the characters. Like, you ever just feel like this is one of those series? Okay. Mushoku Tensei might be one of those series. And I say might because I've only read like 4 volumes, but it is pretty good, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a series detailing my thoughts on every single volume by volume, because at first I was gonna do chunks of 3 volumes, but then I'm like, dude, the videos are gonna be like 2 hours long, okay? So let me just break it down volume by volume, and then that way, if you've only read up to volume 6, then there you go, only watch 6 videos. If you only read up to volume 1, then just watch this video. So yeah, hopefully this video isn't too long, but I have a lot to say about the series. I really enjoy this series. Spoilers, of course. I'm gonna literally be detailing the entirety of this volume, so please keep that in mind, and I hope you enjoy. Okay, so let's just go there. I guess some background really quick. I do enjoy isekais, okay? I am an isekai guy, reincarnated as a farmer, and then I'm taming the demon lord and the level 99, all that stuff. I know it's kind of crappy. The anime, don't get me wrong, the isekai anime are usually super crappy, but I indulge in a light novel here and there. I don't know, it's like comfort food, fast food type reading. It's not the deepest usually, but it gets the job done. I've read a lot of the more popular ones, but the one that I haven't read, the one that I missed out on for quite some time, was Mushoku Tensei. So I read it for the first time in 2024, and yeah, I guess it's one that I'll ramble my thoughts here. So the first thing that kind of like left an impression for me going into this was, okay, I know that it's not the first isekai, but Mushoku Tensei is what really popularized or really kind of set the stage for modern isekai to do what it is, to be what it is today. Truck Kun, okay, had its origins in Mushoku Tensei. Just a lot of the tropes, a lot of like the mainstays, the fantasy elements of it really did start with Mushoku Tensei. So I think that going into it, I was like, okay, a lot of these series have years on Mushoku Tensei. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of these series probably took inspiration from it and ran with it, and usually took what it is and made it better. However, from what I read, the first 3 volumes, this is like one of the most high quality isekais I have ever read. So to know that it's the first, very surprising that not more are this level of quality. But you know what, maybe the author just is goated like that, and that's cool with me. More entertainment for me. So okay, basically, I don't think I need to explain to you the premise of the story. You're probably a fan if you're watching this, but just in case, this is this 32 something year old man that is a complete and total loser. And I need to reiterate this. He is a nobody going nowhere in life, like absolutely terrible person, was jerking it when his parents died, and he literally had no hope. Okay, he died trying to save some kids, and then was reborn as Rudy as a gray rat in some like little cottage village in this fantasy world, and that's where the story begins. Now, one of the things that I find very, very interesting, and I do know some isekai do this, so it's not like this is the only one, but the fact that we followed Rudius since he was a baby all the way to, I'm in volume 4 right now, and he's still 10 years old. See, usually there's a big jump. Maybe the first volume focuses on his family life. We get introduced to the world in the lens of a baby, and then it just cuts to him being in his 20s or something. Or sometimes it is your own body just getting transported to another world, so you are already 30 years old. Other times, it immediately just skips the fluff and says, I grew up. And then boom, second page, they're already 20 in this new world. But I feel like Mushoku Tensei's really like slow, I don't want to say slow pacing, because I mean the narrative is still good even though Rudius is young. I think starting him off as a child, and still where we are today, he is still a child. And looking at the covers of Volume 5, I mean, he still looks young. It does a lot for his character, because this is not just a fantasy, power fantasy story. Actually, it's not even a power fantasy story at all. At least that's the impression I'm getting right now. It's a redemption story that is written very, what's the word? I guess realistic. It is a realistic, mature story. And the reason why is because obviously Rudius is a bad person in his last life. He recognizes that and wants to become a better person. However, it's not one of those things where it's like, okay, you were a completely awful human being for 34 years. That's crazy. None of that matters anymore because now you're in this new body. The show really does, the show and the light novel. The light novel really does make a good job. The light novel really does do a good job of making sure that Rudius recognizes not only that he's a bad person, but it doesn't just automatically, he doesn't automatically change in from volume 1. In volume 3, he still has a lot of flaws, a lot of flaws, to the point where I can recognize that my MC is not a good person. Okay, he can do good things, he can do a lot of mature decisions, especially, I'll get into it, but especially in volume 3, I was really impressed with Rudy's character growth. But that's the thing, his character is growing, not grew. You know what I mean? So, okay, I guess let's start from the beginning. He was born into this, nice, quaint family. And right away, you can tell that this world is magical. I'm pretty sure very early on, Rudius gets hurt and his mom like heals him with healing magic. He feels a warm light on his knee or something, and then it heals better. And then he sees his dad, and it's funny because he saw his dad practice with a sword, but at this point he was like still really new to this world. So he's like, is my dad like super into cosplay? Like, is he role playing in the backyard right now? Like, what am I looking at? Which I thought was pretty funny, like him coming to terms with his reality. And then later on we realized, no, this is a magical world with knights and sword fighters and all that. And then we start getting a little bit into the world building, which I think is really interesting. The fact that there's schools of magic and they're all tiered, like intermediate, beginner, saint, king tier, and then the sword god style, the water sword, whatever, north god style. Like, all of that to me was very, very interesting. And seeing how Rudius takes his magic and kind of applies real life logic into it, and that's what makes him kind of get a jump start on the magic, was very, very cool. One of the early moments in the series in volume 1, Rudius gets a hold of a magic book in his family's library, and he's reading over this and he realizes, oh my god, let me try to do a water ball. And at first he does the incantation, which is like this all like super long sentence that's like, let the god of water prince humble me with, like all this craziness, and then it says water ball, right? But when he tries to when he is casting the water ball, he feels like this warm blood running up his arm, and he's like, what if I just skip all that crazy citation, that incantation, and I just kind of hone in on that feeling? And then the book kind of explains that, okay, no, this isn't a situation where this guy's a prodigy, or he's gonna immediately start doing king level spells. Like, no, like he gets humbled quickly. He's like, I can only do 2 water balls a day, and then he goes to a point where he can do like 50 a day. But when I'm reading this and he's growing his magic and he's doing fire without incantation and water without incantation, and he explains that, he understands, because he was relatively smart. If nothing else, he was pretty decently smart in his old life. He knew how precipitation worked. He knew how fires got started. So he kind of applied that human scientific logic to the magic, and that's kind of what made the concept of fire and the concept of water a lot more normal in his mind. That, maybe Paul, his dad, doesn't understand that oxygen is even a thing. Probably has never even heard of that in his life. So he doesn't have that application that, okay, oxygen and feeding the fire and hydrogen and all that Rudius has. So that's kind of what gave him an advantage early on. And that advantage early on of him being really, really good with magic is what makes his mom be like, let me get you a tutor. Okay? And then this is when Roxy comes in. Roxy, look, I might be I don't know. This might be silly because I've read 3 volumes and Roxy's only showed up for like 2 chapters, but she's up there for me as one of, if not my favorite. There's one character that might have taken that spot that's in volume 3, but she is really up there for me. Roxy is a very interesting character because, we get introduced to the demon race through her. And I'm sorry, I'm going all over the place in this video, but I'm just there's a lot to cover. But I hope you can follow me here. Roxy is Rudy's mentor, master, that's gonna teach him magic because his family, although the mom knows like healing magic, the dad just is teaching him with the sword. I'm pretty sure the dad has like no magic, if not just a little tiny bit of spells. And then they have a maid who I'll get into it later, but I don't think she does magic, even though she was a knight before. So Rudy is the most talented magician in the family. So they're like, oh my god, we need to get you a tutor. We need to get you all the resources you need. We need to funnel this genius boy, all because my man understands what water is. But so Roxy comes in immediately. It looks like a at most 14-year-old girl. So the family's like, what? And then, anime logic, you realize she's much older. She's part of this demon race that ages very slowly. I think they lived up to like 200 years. So, basically whatever age she is, just divided by 2. So I think she's technically like in her 40s when she teaches Rudius, but, in human terms, should be in her early 20s, which I guess makes sense. Looking at her, she could be like a 20-year-old. But Roxy right away shows us that, yes, Rudius is talented, but that's it. This is what showed me this is not going to be a run-of-the-mill power fantasy that, Rudius, I don't know, where Roxy watches him and is like, oh my god, are you a divine one sent by the chosen one to defeat the demon lord? Because you did something that took me 25 years to, no. She's impressed. Don't get me wrong. What he does is pretty good. But she's better than him. You know what I mean? Like, she's better than him. She does recognize that he has the potential to surpass her, and that's fine. MCs have to MC. I don't think an MC needs to be put in a box where they're weaker than everybody else to be a good character, or a compelling character. I would rather follow someone that has the potential than someone that's already there. Do you know what I mean? So Roxy kind of teaches him all the way up to, I think, intermediate or saint. She teaches him how to do one saint level spell, and after they've trained for like a year or maybe 2 together, I forget. She takes him to outside of the country, and that's when she's like, okay, make this storm or this rain fall for an hour straight. So again, this is when Rudius does that 1000 IQ, and he's like, I know how the nebulous clouds work. I know this stuff. I know the hot air and cold air, whatever. So he just makes a updraft of air just constantly flowing, and that makes the rain go. And then he just goes up to Roxy and is like, did I win? And she's like, god damn, you did it. I don't know how you thought about that, but you did it. And then Roxy's like, cool, I'll taught you everything I need to know. If you want to know more, go to the Roa University of Magic. And that's, in my head, I'm like, that's the next arc. I'm like, okay, we're there. Volume 2, Volume 3, pack your bags. We're going to this magic school, and we're going to do a magic school arc, and he's going to get bullied, and he's going to have to learn how to face that, and then he's going to be at top of his class, and he's going to get rivals. In my head, I'm already predicting all these things like, this is it. This is the next arc. And then this is what Mushoku Tensei does. It shows you, okay, this is the path we're taking. I like the magic school setting. Let's go there. And then they're like, nah. And then it does it again in Volume 2, but I'll get into that. So before Rudius leaves, right, he's thinking about the school, but he's like, whatever, I'm going to stay from my family for now. And then this is when a moment happens that I'm like, okay, this series is just built different, okay? Rudius has not only 1, but 2 little sisters coming, and it's the dad that cheated on the wife with the maid, okay? So the dad got his wife, Zenith, pregnant, and the maid, Lilia, pregnant, okay? Pretty much like within the same span. They're like basically about to be born within 2 I think they were born like a day apart. Like my man Paul did not hesitate. Okay, so this is what I'm like. Okay. This series is very interesting, right? I was already invested, but I was like, okay, Rudius here is again not the best person. Perved on his mom, perved on the maid, stares at his mom's breast when she's breastfeeding. Very perverted guy. Okay, was also pretty perverted with Roxy. Mind you, he's like 5, 6 years old, but with the mind of at this point a 40-something-year-old. Obviously not the best guy. However, okay, he recognizes that his dad cheated, and he thinks his dad is trash. Okay, and he's like, my dad does a lot of good things. My dad is a really strong warrior, but I will never be like him. And this kind of shows like my first real. I'm like, okay, so maybe this guy can change. Okay, and I'm sure he can. And he already is being a better like son and all that. In superficial levels, he is changing. But I'm like, okay, like he's recognizing that other people are doing bad things, and he's not like, oh damn, dad, you have a harem now, that's super sick. He's like, nah, like I saw my mom's face, I saw Zenith's face, I never want to make a woman feel that way again. I will never want to see that face on another woman again. And that to me is like, okay, Rudius, I'll give you that one. And on the other side of that coin, I realized, god damn, this series is gonna have a lot of flawed characters. This series is not just Rudius bad, everyone else good. This series is kind of like everyone has like some weird bad vibes, and I mean that's the reality of life. Everybody has flaws. And the thing is like, okay, Paul, the dad, teaches his son what he can. He teaches his son sword fighting, helps him out with life advice in the best way he can. He tries to be there for his family, but he's a cheater. And not only that, he assaulted Ilya, the maid, when they were back in training camp, because they trained together back in the day. And like that kind of like adds a point where, okay, Paul is not a character I want to root for whatsoever. He's a bad person with the cheating and a bad person with the assault especially, right? And he's kind of has that impact on Rudius, where he's like, okay, my dad does this bad thing, but he's also teaching me these things, and he's a good fighter, and he's all this and all that. And it kind of like messes with his mind of like, okay, people in this world, in this story, have a lot of depth. Does that mean what I'm saying? I'm not excusing Paul's actions. I'm not excusing Rudius' actions. I'm not excusing anyone's actions. I'm just saying there's a lot of depth to these characters. Paul and Zenith could have very easily just been throwaway characters, and this guy in the middle of Volume 1 could have been on his way to magic school. But no. He decided to stay home. The author decided to explore the family setting, and I think that really strengthened the story in the long shot. So now, after that whole cheating incident, we meet Sylphie. Okay, we meet Sylphie, which is Rudius's first real true friend in this world, and one of the funniest moments happened with Sylphie, I think. And basically, Sylphie is this timid, I don't even know what race. He, let's just say he for now, has green hair, right? And at first, Roxy had warned Rudius, like, oh, if someone has a red jewel on their forehead and green hair, stay away. And then, Rudius saves this green-haired boy with pointy ears from these bullies. And then he's like, oh my god, green hair, stay away. And then he's like, actually, hold on, I don't see a jewel. We're good. I don't see a red jewel. We're good. And then, they start playing. They start playing with each other, play dates, whatever. And then one day, they're in the rain. And then Rudius like, come quickly to my house. They take a shower to get that nastiness off. And then Rudius pulls down, okay, for Sophie's pants. And he's like, oh my god, I thought you were a boy. Okay. And the thing that I find kind of funny about this is like, I know Rudius is a grown guy, okay? I know Rudius is a grown man. But this was like the first time where I was like, man, this is the most little kid logic I've ever seen. Like it was very innocent, okay? There was no weirdness. It's not like when Rudy pulled down Sophie's pants and realized she was a girl. He was like, oh my God, even better. You know, we're alone here. Like on some creepy stuff. Like, no. Like he was just like, oh, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. And then he tells his dad, like, I thought Sophie was a guy. My bad. I didn't mean it. And then that's when his dad is like, really? Like, you really thought? You know, I thought that was just funny. So then, you know, again, like, you know, deep character writing, you know, Sophie's just not gonna forgive him right away. You know, they have a little, like a few months or maybe a few weeks where they're kind of feeling awkward with each other, and they're not really like, oh, I feel this weird like thing, and you know, Sophie's like, why do you look at me like it this way? And Rudy's like, I thought you don't like me anymore. Like, you know, although they're little kids having this argument, so you know, has a lot of little kid language into it. It does feel legit. Like, you know, when you do something like that, although it's a complete accident, you know, you're gonna feel a little bit weird. And especially the person that you did it to is going to feel a little bit weird, a little bit like, oh my God, like, why did you do that? You know, and they have an argument and, you know, yeah, they do make up, but, you know, it was very organic, you know, it felt pretty good. It's not like this MC can just get away with whatever he wants. Especially with this next thing when he tells his dad, all right, Dad, listen, okay, I want to join magic school. Let me do it. But not only that, let Sophie come with me. Okay, and this is when I'm over here reading like, oh damn, very demanding guy, you know. Obviously your family is poor, but okay, whatever, you know. I guess they're not too poor. The dad is like a knight, and I don't even know what the mom does. I think she just stay at home for now. But you know, they're like a little bit maybe under or at middle class, you know. And he's over here like, nah, buy 2 schools for us, and it's like, okay, damn, okay, whatever, you know, no scholarships, like, what are we doing? And the dad immediately is like, hell no, okay? You are one thing. First of all, you're 7, okay? I don't leave the house till you're 12 because that's when I left the house. To me, that's super young, but, you know, Pokemon trainers start at 10, so what do I know? And he's like, so you're going to train with me with the sword, and then when you're 12 years old, we can talk about you, but I'm not going to pay for Sophie, okay? We're not made out of money. And then that's when Rudy is like, okay, then give me a job. And then that's when Rudy says, dad is like, all right, fine. You win. Duel me with the sword in the backyard and we'll figure it out later. And it's like, okay, whatever. So then Rudy and his dad Paul, you know, they've sparred many times. Many moons have they sparred. And they're over here fighting. And then Rudy's just like, damn, my dad is going super try hard on me. And, you know, Rudy does everything he can, tries to do like a mud pile with his magic, you know, to catch his dad off guard. Doesn't work. His dad's over here like pulling all these crazy sword style moves, knocks him out, ties him up, knocks Rudy's out, and ties him up, and throws him in the back of a carriage. Rudy wakes up. He sees this grown, muscular woman. And then the muscular woman is like, by the way, Ghislaine, my goat. She gives him a note, and he reading it basically says, hey, son, it's me, okay? I'm sorry what I had to do. I did this for a couple of reasons. And again, this is where I'm like, dude, the writing in this series is goated. Like, this is really cool. Basically, what happens is the dad, okay, Paul, is like, 2 things. 1, my son is young. My son is young, and he has hit a wall with his magic studies, okay? And especially his sword studies, he's just not improving because Paul's dad is someone that is very like, he's really good with the sword, right? But if you ask him, oh, how did you do what you just did? He's like, I don't know. It just kind of happens. I'm just thinking about it and it happens. Like, he's a very instinctive guy. So he's not a good teacher, but he's a great fighter, but he's not a good teacher, you know? So he's like, okay, my son has hit a wall with both his magic studies and his sword studies. What do I do? He's like, he devises a plan, especially because the other thing is he recognizes that his son is the way he is. To say a horny a horny guy. Okay, he recognizes my man has the horniness gene, so I know he's gonna want to stay by Sophie's side. Sophie's gonna grow dependent by him, and then what if one day, 10, 15 years down the line, my man Rudy chases another skirt? Okay, and then what happens to Sophie? Sophie is nothing but a follower of the Rudiest church, and she's not her own person, never was able to become her own person, so now she's lost in life. And that, to me, I'm like, damn, okay, that is a very, very interesting writing. That is very, like, realistic, mature, not even from Paul's perspective, just from, like, the author. Like, the fact, this makes perfect sense. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. And that's why he beat up Rudius, because I know Paul recognizes that if he tells Rudius, yo, don't hang out with Sophie, Rudius is gonna be like, all right, screw this guy, tell him off. And Paul has some trauma, because again, these characters are deep, that his dad, kicked him out of the house, and his dad died with the regret of never mending the relationship that he had with his son. So Paul's like, I want to be a good father, but I know my son is way smarter than I am, so this is the only way I know how. And Rudy, is being 40 something years old, is like, yeah, my dad did a good call there. I am pissed, but he does make sense in his letter saying Sophie needs to be separated, and that's why I'm sending you to where I'm sending you. So where is he sending him exactly? So he is sending him on a 5-year journey. So he's going to end when he's 12 years old. And this 5-year journey is going to be him not only learning the sword from Ghislaine, one of the most goated sword fighters in this series. He also needs to tutor in writing, arithmetic, and reading this little girl with red hair, that when I was reading this, I was like, I know this girl is super popular. Obviously, she sticks around for a long time. And he's over here like, okay, so I need to be a teacher, and I need to teach the sword. And in payment, when you do 5 years of service, you're going to get enough money to enroll in the University of Roa Magic for 2 people. And I think that's pretty cool. Okay, that's pretty cool. So that's it. That's the volume 1. That's his family life done. And my man Rudy's is being jump started to another life. And that's what I mean when I'm like, dude, I thought he was going to go up to his dad and be like, I need to go to the University of Magic. His dad was going to be like, I can only pay for 1. He was going to get a random job. And it's going to be like, a chapter is going to be him talking about, I'm really smart, so I was able to help the farmers with their financial situation. So now they paid me, and now me and Sophie are going to school, volume 2. Let's go. But no. We're going to spend another volume, and who knows how many volumes, without even seeing Sophie, without even seeing a hint of the magic school. And obviously, if you've read the series, you know how crazy it gets, all the way up to volume 4 at least. That's where I've read up to. And yeah, and that's where the volume 1 ends. So yeah, obviously I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. I do think Rudius has a lot of growth to do, but I do think that he's in a situation where the growth can happen for him. The next video will be my volume 2 discussion. And yeah, let's see where that goes. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. I will continue reading Mushoku Tensei now. Bye.